Salute, Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. How's everybody doing? Coming at you with a quick live stream as we react to the schedule drop. The New York Knicks schedule dates locked in. Let's go through it. Another year ahead. I'm excited. Right, we've got the streets buzzing. We'll break it down. We'll get your thoughts, and I'll give you my reactions to this schedule drop. Right, like I said last show, I'm on the road, doing this from the road, visiting some family, and I'm away for 12 days, but I'll be back in a couple weeks. Got my laptop, and tonight let's go through it. We've got some big games, right? Big end to the season, which stood out to me. Some big national games, back-to-backs, West Coast trips, all of the usual. But this time, man, this one, big expectations this season. Let's talk about it, guys. Salute to the chat. Salute to the squad, replay squad, shout out. Smash that like button. We've all got the Knicks streets buzzing. And of course, first up, you always look at national TV games, right? A lot of people might not have cable, MSG Go is available obviously as well, but national TV games, there's nothing like those big matchups, right, to get hype. No surprise, the Lakers, right, can't believe that they had 39 national TV games, right, undeservedly, obviously, but LeBron, this could be his last year, maybe the second last year, but Bronny James, of course, ratings gonna do what they do, but the Knicks are coming in tied third with 34 national TV games. That's more than I expected, guys. Johnny, salute. Daniel in the chat. Let us know your thoughts to this. First big surprise for me, 34 national games, including NBA TV, right? But excellent, awesome. Of course, the New York Knicks will be second favorite in the East to get through to the finals, and should be favorite to make the Eastern Conference Finals. But 34 national TV games, that's the NBA saying, hey, we're going to expect this from you. And of course, man, Knicks are going to bring in the ratings. Big time squad, and the additions of Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby back for a full season, Julius Randle returning as well. 34 national TV games is big time, right? So that is a huge tick. Obviously, 40 would have been nice, but we'll see. We're going to go through the NBA Cup games as well. Rivals week against the New Jersey Nets. That's not a rival, but of course, Mikal Bridges is with us now, so the NBA is looking to spice up these matchups any way that they can to. Johnny says NBA is excited for a healthy Knicks team. Most def. And let's go through to the start, October, right? But otherwise, the New York Knicks will have 15 back-to-backs. Well, so 10 of them are with travel. So we're going to go through that. There is 2 big West Coast trips. One of them is a 4-game and the other one is a 5-game. So no 6-game West Coast trip. So that is good. Sometimes you do get those 6-game West Coast trips, but we don't have any of those. There's one 4-game West Coast trip early, and then there is a 5-game West Coast trip later in the season. Like I said, the end of the season is a little tricky. There's Phoenix, Philly, Boston, Cleveland away in the month of April, but we'll get to that, right? Of course, we know we start October preseason. We talked about it. We've got Charlotte away. Charlotte away, 3 home, and then Washington away. So that's preseason. We open the season with Boston, at Boston, orange away, blue home, and then Indiana and Cleveland are our home openers. So Indiana 2 days later, the home opener. Once again, I think the NBA cooked with this one, guys. I love that. So Boston, Indiana, Cleveland, Miami. What do you think to that? Tough start to the season. I mean, the Boston one away is going to be the hardest, of course, but we can beat anyone. Indiana, let's exact that revenge, early in the season. And that's going to be a great chance to set the tone for the New York Knicks team as well, to get a lot of confidence. Let's say we start the season well, we beat Boston, and then you beat Indiana. It's like 2 games into the season, and you're thinking we've just knocked off 2 of our biggest rivals. So where there's challenges, there's opportunity. I always say, the New York Knicks shouldn't be ducking anyone. They shouldn't be worried about any team. But of course, early in the season, you're not playing your best basketball. New pieces, Mikal Bridges, Julius Randle's returning. He'll be playing his first few games with Mikal and getting back into the groove. But with that said, early challenges, early opportunity. I look at it that way. And then Cleveland at home as well. So 2 out of the first 3 are at home. You love that. Then you get on a plane, you head to the 305, and you take on Miami as well. So Boston, Indiana, Cleveland, Miami. The NBA is not playing around with that opportunity to beat, your biggest rivals, arguably. I don't put Cleveland there. Obviously Philly, obviously Milwaukee in the mix, or Orlando. But got to give Cleveland some respect because they've been consistent over the last 2 years. But they're not on the same level as us. Johnny says, looking forward to the Knicks lockdowns on every single team. Yeah, look out for our defense to be among the league's best, right? But obviously that early challenge, but excitement is what stands out for me. Let me know, guys, as we pull up. We move to November, December. Like I said, the first West Coast trip comes in November, first early in the season. And then January will be the other West Coast trip, the 5-game one. This is the 4-game road trip in November. Little road trip. After the Miami game, we continue the East Coast road trip, Detroit. Then we go to Houston, ATL. And then Miami at home, Indiana away. And then the first NBA Cup game against Philly, our rivals. And that is the first of a back-to-back as well. Obviously, the second night of that back-to-back is Chicago. So, games come thick and fast. We know this NBA season, you can't take any team lightly. You could be up by a lot and, still lose the ball game. So focus early in the season is going to be key. Don't take any opponent lightly. Establish dominance early. Establish dominance for this team, right? Don't take any nights off. Salute Vaughn. Salute Replay Squad. Guys, let us know your thoughts on this schedule. We're breaking it down. This is my live reactions, raw as well. I'm on the road traveling, but great to be with you breaking this down. And then obviously to end the season, we'll go through the April run, but December, Christmas Day, excellent. That is against the Spurs. But to end November is that West Coast trip. It's Phoenix, Utah, the Nuggets, and the Dallas Mavericks, right? NBA finalists. I want to know what Phoenix look like this season. Phoenix have been, obviously they've been inconsistent, but they're coming in now or never for Phoenix. They've got older heads. They need to do something this year, otherwise panic's going to set in. Utah's going to be tanking. Denver aren't what they used to be. And then of course Dallas as well. I'd love to take Dallas off. Love to knock them off as well. So November is heavy road tripping. Got to get your lunch pail. Got to get busy. Buzzer beater, what's good? Bing Bong, NYC. Salute, guys. Bing Bong says, excited for the new season. Let's go New York City. Stand up. November, heavy road trip. The 4-game West Coast trip, not too bad. Not too bad. We can beat Phoenix. We did last season. We beat Utah. We can beat Denver. We can beat Dallas as well. Right. I guess that sets the tone, guys. For the first time, I'm looking at a schedule right now, and I'm saying we could sweep a West Coast trip. I'm looking at it like we could sweep the West Coast trip. You beat Phoenix early, and then you get more confidence. You got Utah, you got the Nuggets, you got the Dallas Mavs to finish it out. Right, that is the first of 2 West Coast trips this season, and let's get it. December, like I said, back home then, Pelicans, Orlando, NBA Cup game, Charlotte, Detroit, food there. Getting ready for Christmas, we'll eat on those nights, and then the Raptors away, and then there'll be that little bit of a break for the NBA in-season tournament, NBA Cup elimination games. That'll be elimination. Then we head to Mini, Pelicans, and then back home to the Raptors and the Spurs, and then East Coast trip, Orlando, Washington, and then Washington again. So December's very light. Assuming we don't advance in the NBA Cup, we will get plenty of rest in that one. But I think we probably will advance through the NBA Cup. If you finish second in your group, you will advance. And I think we'll be better than Orlando, we'll be better than the Nets, we'll be better than Charlotte as well. Whether we finish above Philly or not, it's neither here nor there. We will advance probably in the NBA Cup and end up playing some of those games, the semi-finals, the elimination games as well. But there's only 3 extra games if you do advance and win it all, right? Hashtag New York Knicks 60 wins, Buzzer Beater says, salute. It's a real possibility, man. I'm going through this schedule, but obviously if we start well, like an avalanche, man, you just keep rolling. You just keep rolling like an express train. I can feel the excitement, guys. Johnny says, I need to see the OG that we saw right before last season's injuries versus the Pacers all year. We got guys to complement each other. OG doesn't have to do some of the things that he did last season offensively. He can just be that lockdown defender, take on that assignment, and make sure that his opponent, like you said, is locked down. Let's move to January, Feb as well. But so far, nothing's worrying me about this schedule. I feel like we'll definitely be looking at the 55 range, 55 wins. January, right? Heavy home schedule, home cooking for the new year. Utah at home, then OKC, Chicago away, and then look at all these home games, guys. Look at January: Orlando, Raptors, Thunder, Bucks, Pistons, Philly away, stuffed in there at the Els Fargo, and then back home to Mini, ATL, home to Brooklyn essentially, which is at the Barclays, the Kings, Memphis, and then Denver to finish out the month of Jan as well. The NBA Cup will be done and dusted. There'll be trade talks heating up at that point. The Knicks are probably rolling at this stage. And then heading into the month of Feb, All-Star Weekend, right? Quite a light schedule for February too. Look at the start. We've got the Lakers, Houston at home, Raptors away, and then 3 days rest. Then Boston at home, 2 days rest. Indiana away, ATL at home, and then All-Star Weekend. So the couple games before All-Star Weekend, we'll be having basically 3-day rest. Boston, 2 days rest. Indy, Hawks, 1 day rest. All-Star Weekend, right? But we'll be back against Chicago at home after All-Star break as well. So far, this is the favorite part of my schedule. My favorite part of this schedule, January, February, very home heavy. Also, plenty of break. Even January, there's that 3-day rest between the Brooklyn and the Sac game. Right, that's very uncommon. So 15 back-to-backs in this one, but quite a few periods of rest. I think the NBA is looking at keeping the schedule stretched out a little bit to keep guys healthy before these key holidays. Bing Bong says these tough schedules are needed to make them better. most def. I think iron sharpens iron, and like I said, we'll do a quick recap after we've gone through it all first, and then we'll look at the start of the season, the end of the season. But getting off to a good start against, setting the tone against those 4 rival teams is going to be big time, baby. And then we move over to the business end of the season, March, April. Let's get into it. Okay, March is a little bit more on the road. Again, this is the second and final West Coast trip, the 5-game one. The Lakers, the Clips, back-to-back. Sacramento, a break Portland, 2 days rest to finish it out at Golden State. Well, so that doesn't worry me at all. Lakers, Clippers, they could be food. That's a back-to-back though. Then Sacramento, very beatable. Portland should win that one. Golden State could win that one easily as well. So for the second West Coast trip, that is a case of the New York Knicks having an opportunity to actually clean sweep, right? Clean sweep, possibly 2 West Coast trips. The first one's probably a little tougher with Phoenix in there, but this one, we could beat all of these teams: Lakers, Clips, Kings, Blazers, and the Dubs. And then back home against Miami, and then on the road again, the Spurs and Charlotte. Then Washington, Dallas, Clips at home, Milwaukee away, Portland at home as well. Then, guys, we finished the season out April, right? Kind of a little tough stretch. Away games to Philly, the Phoenix Suns, the Celtics, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The second to last penultimate game of the season, right? How do you see the end of April, guys? Philly away, Cleveland back-to-back at home on the second leg. So Philly at home, Cleveland away, back-to-back. ATL away, Phoenix at home, Boston at home, and then Cleveland. Right, interesting. Buzzer Beater says, thanks for replying to my comments. Brunson for MVP. Salute the Brunson burner. Gonna have his biggest season yet. Appreciate you for the contributions, Buzzer Beater. Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming. Love the interactions with the community, guys. You guys are the best chat in the biz. We shout you out, and we get hyped. We keep the streets buzzing. So that the caption I got could be an error on my behalf. So I'll correct myself. The blue games are home games, right? So we have Philly, Phoenix, Boston, Cleveland at home to end the season, not away. So tough opponents, but home games, which is great. So all the blue is the home, orange is the away. As we go back to the start, guys, my favorite months, like I said, January, February. I always like October. It's my birthday. It's the start of the season. It's preseason as well. We get hyped, but the truth is you're never playing your best basketball early, right? I think by the time we get to January, we will be playing our best basketball, and the schedule will lighten up. Very home heavy in January as well. December, you can make trades. January is that month between All-Star weekend, and when you can make trades the month before the deadline. But I love the preseason games. I like one tough game against Minnesota. The third game in, we can play heavier rotation minutes. But the first 2 games against Charlotte and Washington, we can, ease guys in. We could start off by playing some of these situational guys, more minutes. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, maybe more minutes. Ease the starters in. And then by the third game of preseason, we'll be clicking at home to Minnesota, right? And then we have Charlotte and Washington. So combination of putting the beat down on the easier teams and then facing Minnesota. I like that start to preseason. But the start of the NBA season, right? We've given our thoughts last episode. Check that out if you haven't already. The matchup, we went through Boston and the New York Knicks one by one, right? We went through each single matchup, right? Like this. Jalen Brunson versus Drew Holiday, team versus team. To start the season, we opened the NBA season at Boston. Ring ceremony, spoil the party. We could be party crashers on that night, and we could set the tone early. Boston away, Indiana, Cleveland at home. I love the home openers against Indiana. That's a huge tick for me. Bing Bong says, road games could be tough for Mitch. We need another center. Yeah, so there is some buzz swirling around that the New York Knicks have interest in a former Utah big man, Omer Yurtseven. Nothing reported by one of the beat writers, but there is some foreign news outlets as well. Some foreign news outlets reporting that there is some interest, possibly from the New York Knicks in Yurtseven. I definitely think that the New York Knicks are looking at all their options like they always do. I think, heading into the season, we're good for now, but that could be the biggest talking point all throughout the season. How will the New York Knicks bolster the center position? It will inevitably. Leon Rose is not going to run through the whole season the way we are. He will bring in another big man. I think via trade. We'll see. We'll see which one it is, how it plays out. But training camp is an opportunity to bring in a couple of vets. See how they can perform. In training camp. We'll see how it plays out. Let us know if there's any names that you guys would like to see the New York Knicks grab, because that is the biggest weakness of the team. I think rebounding will be cool because we've got Julius back, Hart's there, OG's a great rebounder, Mikal Bridges is a good rebounder for his size as well. But when it comes to the center position, a lot rests on the health of Mitchie. So big tick for the 2 West Coast trips. I think the Knicks could at least, finish above 500 on 2 of the West Coast trips. Potential to sweep them as well, right? Nothing really fears me out west right now. Obviously, Oklahoma, Dallas, probably the 2 toughest opponents. Minnesota will get a good look at preseason as well. But Denver aren't what they used to be. Golden State aren't what they used to be. The Lakers aren't, on our level. So, big tick. These West Coast trips don't worry me, fam. Salute Mike. And also, Buzzer says, congrats to Jake Toppin on his new contract. Yeah, let's give some shine to Jake. So, as expected, Jake Toppin has taken the final 2-way spot, and he finds himself on the graphic. Now, we've got all the 2-ways locked up with Jake Toppin, Kevin McCullough, and also Ariel Hukporti. Right. So, appreciate Buzzer Beater for that. The New York Knicks have made it official. Jake Toppin has officially signed his 2-way deal with the New York Knicks, so that's good. It's the final year that he could be 2-way eligible, right? And then, as I mentioned, Ariel Hukporti, Mike. Let us know what you want to know specifically. I've talked about him previously, but I can never talk about him enough. I think Ariel Hukporti is a longer-term prospect for the New York Knicks. I'm confident that he will be a part of the New York Knicks' future. Excellent rebounder, a guy who's super physical down low, and I think preseason's his opportunity to really impress. Now, Tibbs is aware of what he could do. I don't know who had the biggest say in drafting Ariel Hukporti, but I do know that the Knicks assistant GM, Walt Perrin, and a Knicks draft scout named by the name of Adam. There's many Knicks draft scouts, but I do know that this one specifically had traveled throughout the season to Australia to watch Ariel Hukporti perform. 3-year pro in the Aussie NBL. He was on a team that was super successful. The 3 years that he was in the NBL, Ariel Hukporti finished number 1 seed one of the years, and then finished the number 1 seed most recently and made the NBL finals as well. Played a backup role. I think that's right up his alley. I think early in the season, spot minutes to be expected. He could come in and be an energy big. He could set good screens, roll hard to the cup, be that junkyard center that we need if there's an injury. I think he's a more traditional center, better option than at that position long term than Precious Achiuwa. I think Precious is obviously, more experienced right now and a veteran, and I think they'll appreciate what he can bring, his experience. He's more mobile, but he's not a traditional center. So I think there's an opportunity for Jericho, for Ariel Hukporti in preseason, and that's what like I said early. These guys could get the praise of the coaching early if they put in the work and they have a great preseason. But obviously when the business end begins, I expect the rotation to be quite tight, 9-man. I think early it might be Jericho, it might be Precious Achiuwa, trading some backup minutes. We'll see how it all plays out. But I think Ariel Hukporti is one for the future. He's only 22. And I think one year in the system, if he could perform really well with Westchester, if he could have a good training camp, that could open the eyes of Tom Thibodeau, because he is a Tibbs kind of guy. He protects the rim, super physical rebounding, and he is a guy that, has all the hallmarks of a potential, the potential next Isaiah Hartenstein, Also, just on that, for those that don't know, Ariel Hukporti is German. Isaiah Hartenstein is German as well. Those two know each other from being teens. They grew up together, kind of knowing each other in the system. They shared texts as well. They shared, relationship between each other in terms of Isaiah was giving Ariel Hukporti some tips. He was kind of giving him some advice on what to expect in New York, what he needs to do to crack Tibbs' rotation. So Isaiah Hartenstein is fully supportive of Ariel Hukporti. Those two know each other as well. So that is a good little connection there as well. Johnny said, I've been talking about Yurtseven for weeks, right? A backup center who did well for my fantasy squad. Salute. When Bam went down for a month. That's good to hear, man. Bing Bong says, do you think Scap got snubbed? Yeah, so I want to just mention this. Scap and Sev was putting out an Instagram story based in the Portland facility, Portland Trailblazers facility. This was yesterday. Scap and Sev, who was part of the Knicks G League squad last season, for me, he was expected to get a camp invite for the New York Knicks. Possibly Portland have come in with a better offer for an Exhibit 10 deal. We'll wait and see. So, as far as I know, the Knicks haven't given Scap and Sev an Exhibit 10. Maybe Portland beat us to it. So that looks like the case, Bing Bong. I hope that I'm wrong, but looks like Scap and Sev might have got himself a deal in Portland. It could be nothing. It could be he's just working out in the facility. These guys do post stories, updates that, when they do get the workouts and all of that. But I do think that Scap and Sev is one to at least bring into camp. Salute Michael Dollar. What's up? Sims back up with Precious. Yeah, I think those two will vie out for the backup minutes behind Mitchie. The more bodies, the better, and I think those two will at least provide some experience, while Ariel can cook on the two-way in Westchester. Buzzer says, what's the latest on the Randle extension? The latest from what I heard and what I'm seeing is that Julius Randle and the New York Knicks most likely won't get an extension done before the season begins. It will be a case of running it into the season. let how the play do the talking. I think Julius is set for a big year. I appreciate what Julius brings to this team. I think for right now, all focus. I would like all the focus, all eyes to be on winning, on the play on the court, no distractions. Let the Knicks front office, his agent, handle the negotiations. But I do think that the sides are a ways apart. I don't think they're close to a deal right now. I think a lot has to happen. We are in the dark days of the off season. The club most likely wants to see Julius back on the court healthy. They want to see him playing well. They want to see the squad winning. And then I think things will lead closer towards the deal getting done. But as we sit here right now, nothing's happening. No extension close yet. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. This is just how it plays out, guys. From both sides, Julius wants the best possible figure he can get. The Knicks want to see him back on the court, winning and healthy. That's all healthy. It's all normal. And I do think winning can cure all. I think Leon and the front office and fans see this team winning. Crushing rivals. It becomes a much easier deal to do, I think, long term. So, with Scap and Sev, he did everything he needed to do in Summer League. So that is probably why Portland, possibly gave him an offer. We'll wait and see. We'll bring you up to speed if anything changes, but Scap and Sev might not be coming in. But to swap that out, I have heard that the New York Knicks, from some foreign outlets, that they have interest in Omer Yurtseven, 7 foot 6'11" big, formerly with Utah. He was let go as well. But a lot of people feel like he's a guy that's worth looking at as the backup. A veteran that we can bring in. Omer Yurtseven, that is the name to look out for. The Knicks might bring him into camp. We do have several roster spots in terms of the Exhibit 10s that we can give out, and one more roster spot too, fam, to give out. Let us know your questions. Keep shouting you out. 19 comment in the building. Rivals week, right? Is that a joke? Right? Is this a parody? Rivals week against the Brooklyn, New Jersey Nets, right? Right. That's not a rival, but look, TNT, right? They're going to do their talk on that night. The New York Knicks should crush the Brooklyn Nets, but obviously Mikal Bridges is now on the better side. So the NBA has made that as a part of the Rivals week. What are your thoughts, guys? The streets are buzzing, AP. You guys got the streets buzzing. Salute. I'm on the road right now, chopping this up with you all. Live stream action. Shout out to Replay Squad as well. Smash that like button. Going through the schedule. I like the start. I like the West Coast trips aren't too long. And I like the fact that we, have a lot of rest between the month of January, February with the All-Star weekend. I like a competitive end to the season because, like you guys said, you want iron to sharpen iron. Right before the playoffs, we face Philly, Phoenix, Boston, and Cleveland at home as well. So the caption is incorrect down below. Those games are at home, not away. Johnny says Randle is down with Knicks brass doing what needs to be done monetarily to help the team build. He can wait. I think Randle's at that point in his career now, 30. He obviously wants... This could be the last big deal of his career, most likely. 4 or 5 year deal that'll see him through to 30, 35 years of age. Big deal. It's going to be a big deal regardless, wherever it is, whatever the number is, however many years, it's going to be, a big deal. But he's obviously going to want the most that he can get, before his career ends. This is the last big deal that he gets. But I think in terms of where the New York Knicks are at with these aprons and stuff, it's really at the point now where we're going to do some fine tuning and balance things out. 19 comments says, why does the league give us a weird December 28 December 30, both on the road against Washington. I'll pull that up now. Good observation, fam. December is, you do get some wacky parts of the schedule, no doubt about it. But yeah, to end the month, end the year, Washington, these home and homes usually, but these are both away. So we've got Washington and Washington away, like you said, both on the road. I mean, Washington could be trading their center to the New York Knicks, Jonas Valanciunas. At that point, they'll be looking to blow things up further. They'll be looking to get into the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. They'll be looking to give more minutes to Alex Sarr, the rookies, Bub Carrington, and Keyshawn George. So with Scap, he was never really on our squad, but it looks like Portland might be snapping him up. He is in the Portland training facility, right? Nothing confirmed yet, though. Nothing confirmed. Let us know any other observations, guys. Like I said, my favorite months, January, Feb. I'll bring that up now. Very home heavy, right? Home cooking, the month of January, man. Only 4 away games in the entire month. The rest of them at home as well. But plenty of breaks in between. Between the Brooklyn and the Sac game, there's 3 days rest. There is a couple of 2-day breaks in that month, as well as February, another 3-day break right before All-Star weekend as well. Right, that fits into what a lot of fans are saying. We want guys to be, managing minutes this season. We want guys really healthy for the postseason. This is a marathon, man, but to many, the race doesn't really begin until the playoffs, right? One could make an argument that the regular season is just a tune-up. It's a tune-up for the real thing, which is the postseason, a mini tournament, to win it all. But you've got to be healthy when it comes, right? So I like January, I like February, right? Split in the middle of the season, right? And a softer schedule for us, less travel, more games, more days off, easier opponents as well. And I like the fact that these West Coast trips are split apart, right? You got one early in November, Phoenix, Utah, Denver, and Dallas, right? Won't be mad if we go 2-2, right? I think we can do better, but I'm just saying, if you go 2-2, split 500 West Coast trip, that's not a bad thing at all, man. You win your other games, and you're still cooking. But Phoenix, we can beat them. Utah, we should win. Denver, we have a chance to win as well. Dallas, we have a chance to win that one as well. And then and then March is the final and larger West Coast trip. And that's an easier one. You got the Lakers, Clips back to back. You got Sacramento, Portland, and Golden State. So that's one where you can finish 4-1. You could go 3-2. You could do a lot on that West Coast trip as well. But to close the month of April, once again, it's Philly, Phoenix, Boston, Cleveland, some tougher opponents, but they are the home games on that one. I think the Knicks like what they've got. They are quite, as much as these guys still have to prove a lot of people wrong and prove a lot of things. I think Hukporti, Sims, and Precious could be one of the reasons why they haven't given Scap a roster spot. Knicks 25 champs. He should have got an Exhibit 10 though. Bring him in, see if he can continue the shooting, the touches that he's got from Summer League. Michael says Randle is hard to defend with a single defender, 1v1. Absolutely. I think he brings attention, he brings double teams. He could be a triple-double threat this season, can Julius Randle. Maybe less points, but more assists, more rebounds, triple-double threat. Julius Randle this season. A lot more options around him as well. Salute Jet Life. Welcome in. Great to be with you. But it is a big year for a lot of Knicks, and Julius is, at the top. He's one of the guys that is coming up to an extension eligible. Mikal Bridges as well, but obviously, we just traded for him as well, so that there's a lot of connection there, is that we are going to extend him and do whatever it takes. But Julius Randle is the next big guy in line to get his extension done, right? Like I said, winning cures all. Right now, the two parties aren't close to getting an extension done by reports, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. We run it into the season, we see how we look, guys. Once again, we have the chance to finish in the number 1 seed, I think, for this season. But 19 Comman says we have 34 national games, TNT, ESPN, ABC, NBA TV. I feel a bunch more will get added during the season. That could definitely happen. I think guys, matchups fall out, and then the NBA will be looking to add teams that are definitely kill the ratings and be great at picking up extra revenue for the league and for its partners as well. So the New York Knicks could get more than 34, definitely, especially if we are rolling top of the league. We are 1 or 2 seed in the East. 15 back-to-backs. That is a little bit more than the last season. I think we had 13 last season, 15 this season. 10 of them require travel as well, right? Require travel after the second game, or after the first game, sorry, for the second of the back-to-back. But overall, this schedule, man, I'm gonna give it a B+, maybe an A-. I think nothing really worries me about it. A challenging start, I definitely would need to acknowledge that. I think, in terms of your rivals, you aren't playing your best ball early in the season, but you need to come ready, because you've got Boston opening night, Indiana, Cleveland, and Miami, right? And here's my thoughts on how we stack up, right? How we stack up now, guys, is that I think the New York Knicks are the hunted now. That is the difference, right? Last couple seasons, as we were coming up, we were the hunters. We were the team, hunting respect. We were the team trying to earn more respect. We were the team trying to, move up the standings and show that we're legit. And we showed that. We showed that last 2 seasons, especially last season, 2 second-round performances. But now, we made some big wheeling and dealing. We made the trade for OG Anunoby at the deadline. We made a big trade for Mikal Bridges. Right now, everyone in the East is looking at the New York Knicks like with a bullseye. Right, we have a target on our backs now. The New York Knicks, along with Boston, will be the hunted. And these hungry teams, they'll be looking at us and trying to knock us off. So that is the difference now in mindset. The New York Knicks will be ready. We'll be ready for the challenge, but that is just how it is now, right? We are one of the favorites to coming in, and that is the difference. We haven't been favorites for a while, So we have to learn to embrace that tag, embrace that situation. That each and every night teams will be coming in, trying to spoil the party, trying to put the fire out, and we have to rise to the challenge. And early in the season, we can make a statement against these teams: Boston, Indiana, Cleveland, Miami, right? To start the season, we can make that statement to say that no, we are the team to beat. Kenny Payne, salute. Vaughn says, I'm so excited for the bench mob. The bench players had such a phenomenal stretch in the second half and the playoffs. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Deuce, right, rising up, all the way up, fam, big up. Vaughn, that's one of the biggest things I'm excited about this season. I think the New York Knicks squad is deep, but especially like those 3 guys, positions 6, 7, and 8 in the roster. Those guys could start on most teams in the league, and as well, they'll have a lot to prove, in terms of having a chip. having a chip on their shoulders as well. So yeah, hopefully we get Yurtseven. I would like to see him in Exhibit 10 deal, guys. And I'm just going to bring up the Exhibit 10 situations, and we'll go through that as well on the graphic. Right, here we go. Christmas Day, big one against the Spurs, right? But the NBA is trying to push that a little bit more than they need to. I think the Spurs aren't quite ready yet. They're not on our level, but we'll see how they look. But yeah, man, look out for more news. We have now inked Jacob Toppin. He's on a proper two-way deal. We can bring in 3 more Exhibit 10s, right? You can bring in, 20 people into training camp, not including the two-ways. So you can bring in 20 people into training camp. So I think realistically we can add maybe 4 more camp deals, right? Skapantsev looks like he could be going to Portland. We'll see. I think we might give a camp invite to Ryan Arcidiacono just to do him a little solid. Maybe Damian Ball, maybe Omer Yurtseven. He could be out there though, waiting to see if another team maybe, picks him up as well. That could be the hold up as well. But Knicks are doing free agent workouts that doesn't always get reported. Sometimes it does. Ian Begley reported last time that the Knicks had worked out Jarrett Culver, a former lottery pick wing as well. We are looking at maybe these guys, reclamation projects. You can flip them at the deadline if they do make the squad. Recognize names. We'll see who else comes on board. But we'll see. I would have liked to see Skapantsev come in to training camp. And of course, one more roster spot remains. Who is it going to be? Davis Bertans is still out there. Landry Shamet, Isaac Okoro. It's hard to believe. Free agency is basically close to over. We're heading into training camp soon. But a lot of these names are still out there. Dougie McBuckets, Jetty Osman, Mook Morris, Bismack Biyombo is a guy that, he's going to bring toughness and experience as well as maybe a 4th string enforcer. 19 comments is it true, CT, Dolan made over $1 billion in revenue from this past Knicks and Rangers playoff run? Yeah, not just those two, but yeah, those two inclusive. Yeah, I did see the report that MSG, the company, media company, had made $1 billion in revenue, fam. Now that's not profit. Profit is different, but revenue, $1 billion in revenue, that is huge. And of course, the New York Knicks had about 15 playoff games. That was big. Apparently, the New York Knicks MSG made about something like $4 million per playoff game. And then you add 15 playoff games combined. That is big time in terms of the revenue streams coming in. Vaughn says, CT with Thomas coach, Jalen at the helm, we're still gunning. Gunning, absolutely. We're gunning for the number 1 spot. We want to be top bill. We want to be king. But right now it's still Boston are the teams to beat. So I know we are still hunting. I think for the rest of the East, they'll be hunting us. But we are still hunting Boston. Best believe that. Johnny says Deuce and Kolek, a whole new level of bench play. I think campaign in there as well. Yep, we'll see how things play out. AP says, I want someone who's actually going to play. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think, there is some room for another guy, a 10th guy to fit in. Keita Bates-Diop is here. I like his game. But maybe is a case of a guy like a Davis Bertans who can play the 4, another big who can play 4 or 5. I think that would be the best route for me. Right, bringing in a Bismack Biyombo, a Yurtseven, somebody who can play 4 and somebody who can play the 5 as well, or hopefully just the 5. and you can slot Precious down to the 4 as well. These ideal positions. But one of the biggest areas, guys, for me that we have made the most improvement on the roster for challenging for a title is the depth. Last season, I know bodies went down, and we recovered better than any squad in the league would recover from, because we've got guys with real heart. We have guys with real passion to play the right way, and a lot of guys stepped up. But you can only if you only got so many bodies, you can only keep saying next man up. And that's where we failed last season. But this season, the second and third string units are a lot deeper. Cameron Payne can come in with experience. Kolek, 23 years of age, multiple years in college. Better options than Shake Milton, Daquan Jeffries, Mamadi Diakite. Better options than those guys. No disrespect. No disrespect to to a lot of these other dudes. Dwayne Washington, so many guys that we brought onto the squad that never factored in. We're going to never factor in to the situation. But now we've got the likes of Toppin with more experience. Hukporti with 3 years of pro experience as well. He's a rookie, but he's coming in with 3 years of pro experience in a very physical league, in a FIBA-style game. And then Jericho Sims coming in to his 4th year in the NBA as well. Kevin McCullough, a guy who's, one of the most well-rounded college players this season, coming in as well as a 23-year-old too. Health is his Achilles right now. The only guy I'm basically not expecting anything from, and he has basically a free pass this year. He has a free route to just ball out in the G League, and that is Pacome Daddier right now. But defensively, I saw a lot of things that I liked from a Pacome Daddier, and a guy who, looks like he could be more ready defensively, which, with Tom Thibodeau here, that could be his ticket to some situational minutes, maybe next season. Not this season, but maybe next. But he does look NBA size ready, and he does look NBA defensively ready sooner rather than later for Pacome Daddier. Quite raw offensively still, but that's okay because we have wings now. We've got lots of wings, and we still have one more spot. Right, Lonnie Walker, Isaac Okoro, Landry Shamet, Dougie McBuckets. That could be a reunion with Tibbs. Remember, he played in Chicago. I like Jetty Osman. He could be an insurance policy. He's not going to factor into the rotation, but I think you could do a lot worse than having a Jetty Osman as a guy, as a guy who steps in. If Hart or DiVincenzo gets injured, you got another bench piece. A lot of experience as well. Michael Dollar, Mob D, I like it. Vaughn says maybe 10 men minimum we should go. I think early in the season, I would love to see a 10 men. I would love that. Hopefully Tibbs has learned, right? He got his extension now. There is less pressure on Tibbs, but because, obviously the regular season, we're definitely going to be winning. We're going to be winning a lot of games, and we're going to be, in a shout to win a top 3 seed and make it to deep into the postseason. But that's where you got to be healthy. You got to be smart about managing these minutes, right? So early in the season, preseason should be used to see what you got. We know what we got with Hart, DiVincenzo, Brunson, these guys, Randle, Mitch, OG. My top priorities for preseason should be to ease the veterans in, right? Some of them had a long off-season, a long postseason as well. Don't need to stress these guys out in preseason, Brunson especially. But for the first few games, Charlotte, Washington, I'd love to see us play Mikal Bridges a bit, get him into the system. But then play your campaigns, your Koleks, play your McCullers, Hukporti, Sims, Your key debates, Diops, use those guys for the first few games preseason. No need to give our secrets away early. Obviously, things are going to come quickly. Boston opening night as well. I'm glad we don't face Boston in preseason, because those would be a dead rubber. I think, both sides wouldn't want to show what they got. But Minnesota, a West Coast team, we're not going to see them much. That's a good matchup. That's my favorite matchup of the preseason. And then we can put the beat down on Washington twice, Charlotte twice. With that. And then, to start the season, Boston, obviously, all eyes, and I mean all eyes, are going to be on that matchup around the league. The entire NBA community now. This could be the most open season we've had in more than 10 years. And this could be West and East. Because, I can't confidently say who's going to come out of the West, A lot of question marks over the Nuggets. They aren't what they used to be. But Minnesota, still quite young, can Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and those guys, double up and back up what they did last season. It's not as easy as it looks, right? There could be a drop-off. They could continue to climb. On paper, Oklahoma have got better. Obviously, they've got Hartenstein. They got Alex Caruso as well. They've got a very, very deep bench, fam. Shout out to Buzzer Beater in the comments last show. He asked me who have the deepest benches. I did include Oklahoma in that one. The New York Knicks, of course. I included the Boston Celtics. They got a pretty tidy bench with Pritchard, Hauser, and the shooters as well. And then I included Dallas. They're a very deep squad. They've added Klay Thompson as well. They've got them boys, PJ Washington. They've got Derek Lively. They've got a very deep squad as Dallas as well. And then I think I put Minnesota as the other one. They've got a pretty deep bench too. They did pick up Rob Dillingham in the draft. They did pick up some guys as well. But I don't really know who's coming out west. My early favorite would probably be Oklahoma. But I think Dallas could definitely get close. Kyrie, if he can be healthy, Luka. And then you add Klay Thompson now, together with the rest of their depth. We will see, fam. But out east, I think it's New York Knicks, Boston Celtics. Philly could be a drop-off, right? Philly, if healthy, could be in that same tier as the Knicks and the Celtics. Obviously, I respect Paul George. Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, could be a demon. But when he's healthy, that is quite rare when it comes to that. David M, salute. I like Biombo on a minimum deal. Yeah, I think he could be solid in insurance. End of the bench. He's not going to assume to play. That could be a nice shout. Right. An enforcer that's going to rebound, that's going to be tough and all of that. But he is short. He is 6'9", like Bing Bong said. We got a chewer already. Vaughn Allen says, I would take Gershon Yabusele over anyone you name that's attainable. I don't know what politics are at keeping him out of the league, but he is a dog. Yeah, I think there's just a lot more talent around the world now. That is the situation, A lot of guys can earn good bread overseas. And the thing is, once you're out of the NBA, you get this label, and it's tougher to get back into the NBA. You have to absolutely ball out. Like Dante Exum, who's a fellow Australian like me, but I followed him closer. He was a top 5 pick. He always had talent. Injuries set him back, but he had to go to Europe and absolutely ball out, like MVP candidate type, for 2 years to get back into the NBA. If you ain't playing at an MVP level overseas, it's tough to get back into the NBA. Because every year you got draft picks coming up. You got players that are competing in workouts, all of that as well. Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins, Isaiah Thomas, a lot of John Wall. A lot of players can't get back into the league after they after they miss out on a spot as well. It's a privilege to be in the NBA because there's only so many roster spots available. But on that note, Yabusele looks like he could land in Cleveland now. They're interested in him. The New York Knicks player that we have the draft rights of, and that is Matthias Lasort. But he's 6'9" as well. So I would prefer Yurtseven as a guy that we should look at for a camp invite, fam. But that is the story. I like the end of the season. Not too bad. Home games against some tough teams. March is a month where there's quite a bit more travel, but January and February are kind to the New York Knicks. Let's say we have made a move at the deadline and we brought in a center. That'll be great because we'll be able to face these away games in March, hopefully with our big men stocks loaded. But the Lakers, Clippers, Sacramento, Portland, Dubs, West Coast trip is the feature of March. April, obviously the run home, Philly, Phoenix, Boston, Cleveland at home, Cleveland, ATL, Detroit, Brooklyn away. So that is the story. But opening night and also national TV games, right? That is a tribute, I think, to the New York Knicks from the NBA. Tied third national TV games, 34 coming at you to a local screen near you. Tied with the Boston Celtics, right? That tells you everything that you need to know of the expectations coming in to this season for the New York Knicks. Tied third national TV games, guys. I'm hyped as well. We're going to continue to break it down in the next few shows and preview training camp, rotation minutes we'll talk about, and all of those things with you guys, the best chat in the biz. Optimist in the chat, what's up, Brian? Salute. Guys, great to have you with me. And I'll be live in another day or so. Wait for some more news to come out, but live stream on the West Coast. I'm traveling now, but I got my laptop. Anything breaks, I'll be coming on to talk about it. But I give this schedule a B+. I think it's kind to the Knicks in most ways. Obviously, every NBA season has got some challenges, but I think things are set up, for the Knicks to have a huge season. 55 plus wins, I think, is very realistic. Safe travels if you are traveling, Optimus and chat. If you're at home, salute to you. Stay well and stay blessed as well. No, I'm in Australia still, Buzzer. I'm not overseas at the minute. I'm just traveling across Australia to the West Coast to visit some family. But great to break this down with you all. Back-to-backs a little bit more than I expected. More national TV games than I expected, but that's a good thing. I think the West Coast trips aren't as bad as what they have been in the years past. And I think to end the season isn't really that bad. It's not like we have a whole heap of tough games to end the season. I mean, Philly, Phoenix, Boston, Cleveland at home as part of the month of April isn't too bad. So we'll see what happens, man. January is a key month, very home heavy. I think the New York Knicks, Leon Rose does make a trade every year. We'll see what's up, right? There'll be a lot of teams trying to tank this season as well. I can't forget that, guys. This is probably the best draft class coming up out of the last five years, maybe more. Obviously, it's early, and we'll be talking about the draft as the season goes along. But with the draft class, there'll be a lot of teams trying to lose ball games. And after the turn of the year, January, February, All-Star weekend, trades, there'll be teams trying to go south. And a lot of teams will be trying to win the lottery for Cooper flag, waving their white flag as well. So with that, guys, salute. I'll see you soon. Replay squad, shout out and smash that like button. We've got the streets buzzing. New York Knicks are coming for the chip. Let's get through the East, starting with Boston opening night. of the NBA season, right? But there is some cheese with the Lakers getting more games than us. Obviously, the NBA is trying to cash in with Bronny James and LeBron. On that front, the Warriors as well. Could be the final year of Steph Curry as the sun is starting to set on their careers right now. It's the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, the new powerhouses of the league, the faces of the league as well. Peace, everyone.